This is my audience. Hello, my name is Darrell Carr, and I'll be doing a persuasive speech about why you should let your kids play football. First off, I'd like to say that if I didn't play football, then I don't know where I'd be today. Football has brought a lot of opportunities and instilled a lot of life lessons into me as well, and even helped me get a scholarship to have a great educational opportunity as well. So I think that football is definitely a great opportunity for a lot of parents to use for their kids. I understand that every parent wants to protect their kid and they worry about football for injuries and risk of that. So I truly do understand, and those concerns are definitely valid. I have played football for many years, and about over 10 now at this point. And that's definitely something that I do see a lot. But football, there's other things that come from that, like as far as the game getting safer nowadays, and the technology used as far as the equipment, but also the life skills and principles like discipline definitely helped me to get where I am today. Again, I do believe that parents should let their kids play football because it teaches life skills, opens up career opportunities, and it's become much safer as time has let its played on in the sport. First, I like to say that football provides valuable life lessons, a lot of things that a lot of parents want to tell their kids, and what a life lesson is, and teach them what a life lesson is. But I feel like truly football is something that their kids are going to have to take accountable for all the choices they make and learn those life lessons in more of a in their own shoes type of perspective as well. Second is just the educational opportunities. I feel like there's amazing opportunities when it comes to sport. With a lot of the bigger schools having a lot of great educational values like Harvard and a lot of Stanford, and like a lot of places that have prestigious schools that you're able to go through football that'd be harder to go to if it was just your academics as well. I think that's definitely something to think about, especially with a lot of people having a full ride scholarship, meaning their tuition is going to be paid, and they don't have to worry about that, and their families are not stressing about how am I going to pay my kid to get through school as well, as far as when they worry about their educational purposes. And third, being that the sport has definitely become safer. They have a lot more variations of helmets and shoulder pads of gear that, even in the shoes with like specific insoles that people wear to make it safer when it comes to head-on collision, how the helmet will bend and flex differently. It's not like how it was back in the day where you're just using leather skull caps and a gown. Like, it's definitely is evolved throughout the time. It's 2026, and we are having headsets in the helmet, and a lot of more technology in this game, which is causing it to be a lot more safer as well. Football definitely teaches valuable life skills. For example, it taught me discipline. Players learn to have that discipline when it comes to waking up hecka early in the morning and having weights and having a full day and then balancing school on top of that. So you have to have a certain amount of discipline instilled in you to be able to continue to play the sport. So those are values that is something that you can't just teach, but it has to be learned, especially in the sport. And this sport definitely gonna bring it out of you, most definitely, right out of me. You must learn to be responsible, like I said before. Juggling, the educational part and the student athlete part is just something that you have to do, and is required in the sport, and it takes a lot of responsibility. Players must stay committed, and they have to work hard, and that becomes a habit. So your commitment and your habits are definitely something that are going to be brought to light as long as you play the sport. And the longer you do, the more it's in front of you, like, am I doing the right things? And the sport definitely helps retain those habits. And I definitely realized that in my life, as far as a routine I might have, it definitely helped me keep a routine as far as when I come back home and what I need to do. and to get stuff done, because the sport showed me that routine helps me wake up, and it shows me that routine helps me get and manage my time how I need to do throughout the day. A great important aspect about this is that it teaches teamwork and leadership, which I feel like can definitely relate to the work environment, as far as everybody has a job to do. So when you're on the field as somebody who is a safety and even a lineman or a linebacker who are focused on rushing QB, and while they're rushing QB, you're guarding a receiver, so the amount of time you have to guard a receiver depends on them. So everything and everybody has to rely on each other, and that can go as far as the workforce as well, that trust that is built. You know that a lot of people, if you put somebody who was in a sport for a couple of years versus somebody who hasn't, being able to mesh in a teamwork environment on a workforce is something that is definitely more reliable and something that is easier for them to do and take that responsibility as well. And the leadership aspect, which I feel like is definitely underlooked in this sport, you know, it carries into your school and your work. For example, you know, creating the best environment for yourself is, to do that, you have to be a leader, and you have to demand and take control of your environment. So football definitely put me in, I'd say, in that position to have to step up and become uncomfortable, to you know, have the best outcome for myself when it comes to, you know, taking everybody's accountability and being accountability for anybody I need to be accountable for, and even myself, and balancing my schoolwork as well. So that's a huge thing. You know, my personal example is that football taught me discipline that I use every day. Like I said, that routine is definitely important to me, and saying discipline to that helps me, like I said, manage my time and put my time into my priorities as well. That I feel like if it wasn't for football, I wouldn't have understood the importance of it. You know, if I, you know, one time I'll wake up and I'll be late to a practice or be late to a meeting, and, you know, I get a good punishment because of that. If it's a, you know, 100, you know, going back and forth the field 100 times or whatever, I don't want to do that anymore. And that scarce feeling that I have definitely makes me understand that a routine is definitely important for my happy mental health as well. And help me stay focused on my goals. Football is definitely, you know, has its trials and tribulations where you think sometimes you're taking a step forward, where in reality sometimes you take steps back. But it's all about the steps that you take, and you can only complete those goals by taking those steps. And sometimes they're not going to be the biggest steps, or sometimes they're going to be bigger steps. But as long as you take those steps, it helps you stay focused on those goals instead of trying to just go out and, you know, Hail Mary for your goal, you know. So it taught me to stay focused and locked in on my goals as well. I truly do believe that the life lessons that this sport creates for you helps change your life and your trajectory of where you believe that you could be at, because I never thought I would be where I'm at all. You know, I went to North Dakota after high school. You know, I lived in California, and it was a shocker. But the connections that I made have definitely helped me, you know, understand that there's a lot more in this world as well. And I would have never had made those connections with those people from anything else other than football. You know, meeting people who are from Florida, Texas, is something that I definitely didn't expect, to even have a relationship with people like that. But this sport is beautiful in the fact that you will see people around the world or playing this sport being all together, and you'll never know how that is. So I'm glad for being able to understand and go through that process, and truly did change my life to where I thought I would have never expected me to be friends with somebody else from another state as well, or to understand what they go through as well. A huge part is that I believe parents should consider, if anything, is that, you know, if you take football away from somebody, it could be also underlying that you could be potentially taking away their educational opportunities as well. There's scholarship that helps students in college that play football, that allow them to not, if they're in another case where they don't have the money to pay for a lot of years of tuition, football takes care of that. You don't have to worry about your tuition. You don't have to worry about what you have to eat or where you have to stay. Football fully covers that on a scholarship and allows comfortability in those settings of education as well. You have first priority in a lot of things. For example, like you have first priority when it comes to picking your classes and just little things like that helps your educational opportunity as far as the sport. Many athletes receive a lot of financial aid. A lot of them do. The number, you would think that it's hard to, but there is a lot of college athletes not having to pay for tuition because of football and board and books. Sports and football, but even just sports in general, it requires you to stay focused in school. Good grades are required on a football team to be eligible to even play a 2.5 or better. So striving for those good grades is something that's promoted in a football setting of, in college, and it definitely helps to, and even in high school, it definitely helps that, that gives that incentive of, okay, I need to do well in class and to do good in the classroom so I can play the sport I love to play as well. So that's something that helps me stay focused. If I just went into school, I don't like school, but if I went into school and I have a tendency to might not take things seriously, but football definitely helps, that aspect to push me and to help me get the most out of it without even me realizing it sometimes as well. You'll definitely learn how to have better time management, especially with the scheduling of everything is. You have to dedicate your study hours and you have to dedicate, balancing your football hours as well. So it's definitely something that if you learn how to balance things like at a younger age, then it'll definitely help you later in life. Like my personal experience is that I just earned a scholarship to Eastern Washington, and that without football, this wouldn't have happened, and I would have not have been able to have the education that I am seeking for as well. And putting that stress on my family is something that I've never intended to do. So to be able to have and be blessed with the privilege to have that taken care of is something that I truly am happy about. So my parents aren't set back with just them wanting to do the best for me as well. According to the NCAA article in 2024, thousands of student athletes receive financial aid in college every year. So like I said, that number is not skewed. There's a lot of people that are college being completely taken care of just because they're playing football. And again, really consider the educational aspect of this sport provides as well, and they get to do something that they love as well as in their future. I know a lot of parents understand the risk and they worry about the safeties of their kids. I'm honestly here to tell you that football is safer than it has been in years. There's rules that have been improved as far as targeting penalties to protect players, to make sure there's no unnecessary hits that shouldn't be allowed, and they'll reject players. So they are very on top of things like that and actively looking for plays that can put risks of players into consideration. And even when it comes to hitting somebody after the whistle is blown, like everything is taken very seriously. Coaches have teach safer techniques as far as tackling. A lot of it is taken from rugby as well, putting in form tackling to allow safer hits for people. And just the technology alone has upgraded since. So having that technology within helmets and having that technology with all the gear that they have makes the sport so much safer to have the best equipment available to not have you get hurt. The concussion awareness is definitely huge. CTE is the biggest thing and concern a lot of people have with this sport, but I can tell you from experience now, if any injury you feel or any headache you have and you tell the trainers that, you're out for 2 weeks. They're making sure to do the proper testing and recovery to make sure that your health is perfectly okay. So you're not, as a parent, worrying that my kid is playing hurt and he's going back out there and getting hurt again. No, if your kid is hurt then he's getting taken care of with the best treatment. For example, I'm luckily to have provided, a team medical doctor, so that if anything happens to me and I get hurt, I can get an X-ray and MRI all in the same day I got hurt. A lot of people don't have that privilege to be able to go and get an X-ray in the same day, and then a lot of people, for example, have to go and wait weeks to get the X-ray and go and wait weeks to get an MRI just to get something out of that is a long process. But I'm luckily, through sports, football specifically, I'm able to have the quickest, best healthcare help they can provide for me. So if you're worrying about your kid's health, football provides a huge safety net to allow parents to be not concerned about their kids. And again, it's a huge industry, so they need their players available, and they do look out for the health of their players. And to go again with the gear and the helmets and the technology where football is today, the Center of Disease Control and Prevention says that there's proper coaching, concussion protocol education, and safer techniques for tackling and of that nature has been studied and has been approved, and has been proven that over time, from where we at now in 2026, that these are the best that it's going to be as of right now. And this article is in 2024, so it's the best that we have, the best equipment to deal with anything as far as trying not to get hurt and just prevention. I know that football will completely never be risk-free, but so will any sport you play. You can play basketball, you can play track, anything. And I've done those sports, and I know I can, pull a hamstring or, mess up your knees or your ankles at any time. So there's a lot of risk with any sport you put your kid in. When people say that, oh, I don't want my kid to get hurt because that's why I don't want to have him play football, he play anything else. Well, at the end of the day, if there's any sport, you're gonna get hurt. It can happen at any time. So it's just not with just one specific sport, which is football, which is so firmly looked upon because of that. In conclusion, my main points are that football teaches a lot of life skills, and there's a lot of educational opportunities that come with the sport as well, and that the sport is getting safer by each year that this is played as well. I believe that parents should let their kids play football because the benefits will last a lifetime and will be instilled in them. And football gave me confidence, lifelong friendships, and college scholarships that I was able to benefit from. And if my parents in fear didn't let me play football, I would be missing out on those opportunities and even my happiness that I have that's associated with the sport and the people who I've met as well. And instead of asking is football worth the risk, ask what opportunities could I miss by my child not playing this sport as well. So thank you again for your time, and have a good day.